Are you ready?
Are you ready?
For a podcast hosted by George T.
Who the hell are you?
I am the movie geek.
Who are you?
I am the movie geek.
You are such a geek.
Thank you.
And now, on with the show.
It's time!
It's showtime.
It's showtime.
Here we go. Welcome back to the Movie Geek Podcast. And as always, I'm your host, George T. And the summer of reboots has started with a bang. We'll get to that in a few. Also, news about more reboots, remakes, etc., that have been announced. And my review of Axel F. Yes, that's the only thing I saw this week, and unfortunately did not get to see Twisters, but I also have caught up on some shows that I've been watching. Snowpiercer is one of them, and The Ark. Both shows are, end-of-the-world type sci-fi shows. Ark Season 2 has just started. Snowpiercer is ending with Season 4. I was actually surprised it actually had a Season 4 that's coming up, so had to catch up on that. There are some other shows that are coming out very soon that I'll be watching. Daryl Dixon Season 2, and Only Murders in Our Building Season 4 is coming out very soon as well. So all those I will eventually do reviews for, but Axel F does not need its own review because I'll get to that after, but let us start with the weekend box office. And as expected, Twisters was number one at $81.2 million. Obviously a huge opening weekend for that movie. Despicable Me 4 fell to number 2 at 24.4, still raking in money after being number one movie for 2 weeks. Inside Out 2 stayed in third place at 12.8, which has made a ton of money. Amazing for a movie. Number 4 this week was number 2 last week, which was Longlegs. So either the drop-off was because Twisters came out, or maybe it wasn't as good as it panned out to be. We'll find out how next week's goes. However, this weekend is a huge weekend because you got Deadpool and Wolverine, which should pull in, I don't know, I'm guessing over 100 million, maybe 150 million, the way they've hyped this movie up. However, Twisters is out there, so maybe it'll take it down a notch, but the way this movie has been all over the place, I think people are excited for it, even maybe non-Marvel fans, just to see Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman together, because they've had such a great friendship on social media. If you follow either one of them, you'll see that they interact very well with each other. And Ryan Reynolds for years was looking to do a Marvel movie with Hugh Jackman, who had bowed out of comic book Wolverine scene when Logan went and killed him off. So obviously, that's a spoiler if you have not seen Logan yet. But if you are going to watch Deadpool and Wolverine this weekend, you might want to watch it. And then rounding out the top 5 is A Quiet Place Day 1 at $6.3 million. It was number 4 last week. Fly Me to the Moon continues to not do as well in the box office. And just curious as to know why with a great cast like that. But who knows? We'll get to see that at some point. All right, some news really quickly. And again, like I said at the top, reboot, remake season is upon us, and announcements keep coming out more and more. This one is a movie that I enjoyed back in the 80s, and for some reason we're rebooting it. It is The Running Man. And right now, the hottest actor on the planet is Glenn Powell, and he will be starring in this remake of The Running Man, which was about a dystopian society which had a game show that was about prisoners being chased down by Running Man and killed for sport entertainment. So this remake, I don't know. The original movie is so good. That starred Arnold Schwarzenegger. The game show host was Richard Dawson, who was the host of Family Feud at the time. And then you had a bunch of good actors in there as well. So I don't know. I guess it starts production in the fall, and we'll see what happens with another reboot. Speaking of reboots, we've got Mike Flanagan, who I've talked about with his great shows on Netflix. He also did some good movies as well, wanting to do The Exorcism, but now he also wants to tackle Dark Tower. Again, another book series that I'm not familiar with, but the original Dark Tower with Matthew McConaughey was a bomb. But there are enough people out there that wanted to see Dark Tower as a movie, so this is why we're going to get a reboot in the very near future, and another remake coming out very soon. Part of the Universal Monster universe that is coming out with, obviously we had Godzilla and Kong and all those movies, and we're getting some new monster movies coming out in 2025 and 2026. And one to join that list is Creature from the Black Lagoon. James Wan is set to direct this remake. Again, we're just taking ideas and we're just going with it. And, as a moviegoer, I will definitely see it. It's just, do we keep needing these movies? Or why are we taking old movies and, taking the liberties of rebooting them or remaking them or whatever we want to do with them? So we'll see how that goes. Speaking of another one that is being rebooted, the 1997 slasher film I Know What You Did Last Summer is rebooting. Now, again, why? It wasn't as big as the Scream franchise, so why this is getting a reboot is beyond me. I saw on an Instagram post Sarah Michelle Gellar was excited about the reboot. She was in the original film with Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ryan Phillippe, and Freddie Prinze Jr. But again, this wasn't as big as Scream. It was supposed to be like, the counter to Scream, because back then we were doing a lot of films that kind of were the same but had different takes. Like we had Deep Impact and Armageddon that came out that year as well, or around that time, both about asteroids that were going to destroy the Earth. Again, different takes. And so Scream had jumped onto the scene, and then they did I Know What You Did Last Summer. Again, I'm not sure why we're doing this. It wasn't one of these movies that probably needed to work out. I know they did a sequel to it, and then I thought they were trying to reboot it with another cast back in the early 2000s. It didn't work out. So why would we think that this was going to work out? I have no earthly idea. But that is coming your way at some point very, very soon. Also just announced a movie that will be coming out in September. It's not a remake or a reboot or a sequel to anything. And this will have wrestling fans excited to see Dave Bautista and Drew McIntyre in a movie called Killer's Game. It is based on a book, and it has a very good cast. Terry Crews is in it. Pomp Kilmarnock, she played Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy. Ben Kingsley is also in this movie as well. The movie premise is Batista plays Joe Flood. He is a contract killer. Takes a hit out on himself after being diagnosed with a terminal illness, but eventually finds out that he does not actually have it and now has to survive his own hit. So this looks like an action-filled movie, and it I will definitely be seeing it. Obviously, Dave has done an amazing job since getting away from the wrestling scene. He's done comedies, family films, action. So he's really branched out there. So good to see him continuing to do films and continuing to do a lot of good. Alien Romulus just dropped a final trailer. I cannot wait to see this film and review it for you. So that is the news for this week. And again, I am looking forward to Marvel's Deadpool and Wolverine movie. I am hyped about this, obviously. Now, last week I did mention that I was going to do my Marvel movie episode. However, I'm going to hold off on that because San Diego Comic-Con had mentioned that they are going to do a whole panel again this year. Last year, Marvel did not do a panel in 2023's Comic-Con. So this year, we're looking for some new stuff or cancellations of stuff. So I'm going to hold off on this and maybe redo the episode later. So I will have an episode on Friday. Most likely it will be my DC Universe is Dead one, because the stuff I keep reading about is incredible, that they cannot match Marvel with their movie quality. And DC has some good superheroes. However, they've just kind of botched most of them up, and it's pretty sad if you are a DC fan. And I will go through that when I drop that episode on Friday. So next week we'll have obviously just a Marvel week probably, but I've got to also see when San Diego Comic-Con is. Maybe I'll hold off. Maybe I'll do 2 separate episodes. I'm not sure, but I think next week will be just a Marvel week. So if you are a Marvel fan, keep listening. All right, so here is the part of the show where we're going to do a review. And the reason why I'm not doing a review separately is because this movie does not need a separate one. And I'm going to talk about the entire Beverly Hills Cop series in general as well. So this won't take very long. So Axel F came out on Netflix. And to say we really didn't need to see this movie, I'm saying we just didn't need to see this movie. We've got, Axel Foley, which was a cop, Detroit cop, back in the 80s, helping out with crimes in Beverly Hills. As you know, Beverly Hills Cop 1 was really, really good. Number 2 wasn't bad. 3 was just a money grab, I think. He has to stop a guy who runs a Disney World type amusement park. It is basically Disney World. I forgot what they called it, and I really just don't want to go back and redo that. But it was just a money grab, and you thought maybe the trilogy was over, and then lo and behold, 30 plus years later, we decide to bring back the entire cast and even some surprise cameos. I just don't think this saved the film at all. This is definitely a one thumb down. It didn't need to be made. It had some of the same stuff from the others. It wasn't as funny as the others. And you've got these old guys, trying to go through it again with trying to solve crime. This time Axel Foley and his estranged daughter, who is played by his real life daughter, try to solve the mystery together, or solve a case together. And obviously Rosewood and Taggart are back in this. They are pretty much of retirement age. So is Axel at this point too. And it's just same old stuff, but just not as funny. And with them being so old, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. If this was with, some cameos with them, probably maybe would have made it a little bit more enjoyable. But to run it back with nostalgia, and I know hypocritical because I said, Bad Boys Ride or Die was better than I expected. You're right, it was. But I also said those guys need to stop doing those movies. They are getting too old, especially Martin Lawrence in that regard. So the only thing I can say about it is if you really liked the original 2, not so much 3, you may watch it, but I think it's just a waste of time. I think it's a waste of time. I hope you'll heed my warning. Although I will say one of the cameos was a foreshadowing of the sequel to Happy Gilmore with Christopher McDonald doing his Shooter McGavin cameo in this film where Axel crashes a helicopter on a golf course, and he's there, and he's like, how are we supposed to play with this in the way? And Axel's like, oh, can you help me with trying to save somebody in the helicopter? And then Axel steals his golf cart. So I know what Netflix was trying to do, because obviously they're trying to gauge some interest in Happy Gilmore 2. Now, I am interested in it. Yep. Call me hypocritical that a movie remake or sequel will be, coming out years after it should. But I actually did enjoy Happy Gilmore. I did enjoy Beverly Hills Cop. But I didn't feel the need for Beverly Hills Cop 4. I don't see one for Happy Gilmore either, but it may be interesting. So that's why I'm doing it. That's why I said that I would want to see Happy Gilmore 2 over some of the other ones. And I know I'm nitpicking, choosing what I want to see, but that's because I like what I like, and you can agree or disagree with it. But Axel F is definitely a 1 thumbs down. So I didn't hate it, but also didn't love it, and I don't think it's watchable. So that's why I kind of left it right at 1 thumb down. So it's basically a didn't hate, but didn't like either. So take it for what it is. But again, the whole Beverly Hills Cop, you want to say series now, is done with, hopefully. Unless they pass it along to his daughter and have Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was the boyfriend of the daughter, take it over. That's fine with me. Maybe something fresh, and maybe not call it Beverly Hills Cop. Maybe call it something different, but link it to it. Who knows? Kind of like with Rocky went to Creed. So could it be worth seeing? Probably not, but it might be more interesting than seeing Eddie Murphy doing another Beverly Hills Cop. Just my opinion. Now, again, the 4 movies together, I'm glad it will be done with. The first 2 movies, again, like I said, were all right. So anyway, I want to thank you all for listening. I also want to thank you guys if you listened to my first guest episode with Jennifer Nangle. I posted on my social media accounts on Instagram that she was running a fundraiser for starting her season 7 of Queen Malvia. She actually made her goal. So if any of you out there were contributing to that, I want to thank you very much. So that she will eventually, start up the movie project that she wanted to do, and hopefully we'll come back on this show to promote it. And so I want to thank you with that. All right. So I know this is a quick episode, but there isn't much going on in the world of me seeing movies. I've been trying to catch up on shows. I know I don't talk much about shows, but they are of interest when, it's enjoyable to me. And I love sci-fi. So with Snowpiercer, I remember the original movie with Chris Evans about, this dystopian world frozen over, and the only surviving people are on a train. So season 4 is going on right now, and after the season is over, I'll go through the entire series. There's a lot in there, so it'll probably take 1 whole episode. Arc season 2 has just started, another dystopian or cataclysmic end to the human race, where the only people left are on these ships looking for a new home. And so that has been interesting. I will say, though, with sci-fi shows, now Snowpiercer was on AMC, so they had better, I don't know, sci-fi budget. However, Sci-Fi Channel continues to amaze me that they cannot get a good enough CGI budget, because the show has some really bad CGI at times, but you can kind of overlook it because the story is actually pretty good. So those are what I've been watching. I've been also watching some other shows as well, just trying to catch up on things. And there have been some good movies that are dropping on demand and stuff, so maybe I'll catch up on those. I know Abigail was one that I wanted to see, is finally dropping, and a few more. Also wanted to say that I was able to find a physical media copy of Civil War. I will continue to say it is the number one movie of this year so far. However, I feel next week might be different, and I will say that Civil War should win Best Picture at the moment, and maybe my number 2 when this is all over. But we'll see how Deadpool and Wolverine works out. So until next time, again, be sure to listen to Friday's episode if you are a movie fan in general. My DC Universe is Dead episode, or you may just skip it because you are a DC fan and you don't like what's going on, or maybe you want to hear what's going on. Please listen. So with that being said, I will see you at the movies.
See you next time. Bye.
Waiting for you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
That's all, folks.